So what difference does it make if LGBT people can't get married, as long as states in the U.S. provide domestic partner benefits? And why, as straights, should we care? Well, as human beings, government-sanctioned discrimination should bother all of us. And it shouldn't be up for majority rules decisions. If a vote was taken on the old Jim Crow laws of the southern United States back in the 1960s, they probably would have been upheld. But would that have made them any less wrong? And what difference did it make if blacks were segregated in the South, so long as they had the same options to ride buses, in the back, had schools with inadequate resources, and their own entrances and water fountains, with strict, sometimes fatal consequences for using the wrong one? A lot of racial minorities get mad when the struggle for LGBT rights is compared to their own struggle. Well, I disagree. This isn't a contest. Denying anyone basic human rights based on who they were born to be, race, ethnicity, skin color, disability, gender, sexual preference, or gender identity, it's all the same thing. Separate is not equal. It wasn't during the Indian Acts that established the reservation system in the United States. It wasn't during Southern segregation in the U.S. It wasn't in Nazi Germany, or during apartheid, or now, while we, the heterosexual majority, discriminate against one of the last groups we've been given permission to discriminate against. But why should I care? I'm straight. No one took anything away from me. I can get married or not to any man I want. Now. My parents were married in 1965 in the state of Maine. My father was in the Navy, and his first station after they were married was Norfolk, Virginia. Both of my parents are Native, but my mother's paperwork, her family destroyed it because her original birth certificate said she was Native. And they used all of her other records, and so they established her as a white woman, even though she was Native American. Everyone knew she wasn't white, she was Native, but her paperwork said she was white. Now, when my parents arrived on base, they were briefed that they could not live off base in the state of Virginia because their marriage was actually illegal. My father was Native, by all legal means, and my mother was listed as white. Now, my sister was born at the Norfolk, Virginia Hospital in 1967, and she was able to get a birth certificate listing both of our parents thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Loving and their fight against the United States Supreme Court, or before the United States Supreme Court, rather, to have Virginia's ban on interracial marriages overturned. Now, previously, the state of Virginia would have considered her illegitimate. I always think of this story from my parents when people say gay marriage isn't right, or gays shouldn't serve in the military, or any of the other stupid things that they want to restrict. At one time, they didn't want people like me to have those rights either, because of the color of my skin. Now, imagine the Pacific Theater during World War II without the Navajo code talkers. And how many wonderful people are in our lives that come from an interracial background? But at one time, those marriages, those unions, they were illegal too. That's why I think it's really important for people like me to support equal rights for all people. The right for marriage should be a human right, not a special right for a chosen few to bequeath upon ourselves as our exclusive privilege. Now, to come from a background that's not seen persecution and injustice and supports such bans on LGBT rights, it's shameful, but I guess it's not unexpected. But to come from a background that has seen persecution and injustice and supports such bans on LGBT rights, to me, that's unforgivable. If you support the marginalization of LGBT people because you think God told you to, and in my opinion, if someday you face hardship due to the color of your skin, your country of origin, your ethnic or religious background, your gender, or a disability, well, you know what? I say you deserve it. If you support the oppression of others for something as simple as being who God made them, then you deserve no comfort, no respite, no relief from any oppression you may actually face. LGBT individuals being afforded the same basic rights that we assume is ours due to our heterosexuality hurts no one. So what's the purpose of all these laws banning it? To be good Christians, of course, because as Jesus said, make sure you stab your neighbor in the back and persecute all others in my name. Think about it. Most church leaders make it sound like this was a major issue for God, but he never once mentions it, nor does Jesus. Not in the entire Bible. All of those direct quotes in the Bible, and not a peep about homosexuality. They talk about treating each other with compassion and love and don't commit adultery or steal or swear, yet I don't see any religious writers out there protesting adultery, theft, or profanity. In fact, it's almost a rite of passage for most televangelists to get caught in an adulterous affair, and that's okay because God is a forgiving God. But they can show up at the funeral of Matthew Shepard with signs stating God hates fags and scream at the friends and family of a murdered young man. How very Christian. Christianity was heavily used as one of the founding principles of the Ku Klux Klan as well. Go figure. Now I'm a devout Roman Catholic, a Christian, and a Native American pipe carrier. I've read the Bible cover to cover many times in my life and have yet to find the portion that states that God hates fags. So I can say with all certainty that these so-called good Christians that preach hate in the name of God will be going to hell. Because the Bible does say that God hates haters. To me, God's love. And I hope someday people figure that out before it's too late. And that's why I support LGBT rights and equality in marriage for all. Thank you.